On Capitol Hill, lawmakers are grappling with the aftermath of Wednesday's assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. The shooting at Utah Valley University, which led to the arrest of 22-year-old Tyler Robinson after a two-day manhunt, has reignited a fierce debate over the role of political rhetoric in the nation's rising tide of political violence. Leaders from both parties are publicly calling for a de-escalation. House Speaker Mike Johnson stated he is actively trying to turn the temperature down, a sentiment echoed by Senate Majority Whip John Barrasso, who called for reining in hostile language. Florida Democrat Jared Moskowitz was blunt, telling reporters, "This is on all of us." He warned that if the left and right continue to blame each other, the cycle of violence will persist. However, unity remains fragile as emotions run high. South Carolina Republican Ralph Norman placed the blame squarely on the left, arguing that labeling political opponents as fascists and threats to democracy contributes directly to violence. President Trump also weighed in, asserting that those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis. In response, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer urged for unity and mourning, stating that coming together is what we ought to be doing, not pointing fingers to blame. The tragedy is drawing comparisons to the political turmoil of the 1960s, a period marked by high-profile assassinations, leaving many in Washington to question if there is a clear path to lowering the political temperature and preventing future violence. While Washington debates the causes of political violence, the Trump administration is taking direct action on urban crime. President Trump announced this morning that he is considering deploying the National Guard to Memphis, Tennessee, a city that currently holds the highest violent crime rate in the United States for cities with over 250,000 people. Speaking on Fox and Friends, the president cited the success of a recent federal law enforcement surge in Washington, D.C., which saw a notable drop in crime, as a model for the potential action in Memphis. The move was immediately praised by Tennessee Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn, who said she applauded the president's decision to make Memphis safe again. However, the proposal has been met with strong opposition from local Democratic leaders. Shelby County Mayor Lee Harris condemned the plan as anti-democratic and a violation of American norms, warning it would cause confusion and fear and hurt the state's reputation for generations. Memphis Mayor Paul Young issued a more measured statement, acknowledging the possibility of a deployment, but emphasizing his preference for focused initiatives and partnerships with existing law enforcement agencies like the FBI. He also noted a need for more financial resources. The debate highlights a growing national divide over the use of federal and military forces to address local crime, with supporters pointing to results and opponents raising concerns about federal overreach. Meanwhile, a House committee is looking back at the final years of the previous administration. Former White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre testified for nearly 5 hours yesterday in a closed-door interview with the House Oversight Committee. The interview is part of the committee's investigation into former President Joe Biden's mental acuity and the use of an auto pen to sign official documents during his presidency. According to a source familiar with the proceedings, Jean-Pierre told investigators that during her time working for Biden from 2009 to 2025, she did not see a change in his competency. However, she did acknowledge that he was not the same speaker he was when she first met him, though she never asked why his speaking style had changed. Jean-Pierre also revealed that talking points related to the former president's health were handled exclusively at the senior level. This included the cheap fakes talking point, which was used to dismiss videos that appeared to show Biden's cognitive struggles as being deceptively edited. Jean-Pierre stated the talking point appeared in her briefing binder, but she did not know who specifically added it. Her testimony is one of the last in the committee's probe, which is examining whether executive actions and pardons were approved without the former president's full awareness. In other news from Washington, a significant immigration protection has officially expired for tens of thousands of foreign nationals who have lived in the U.S. for years. The Department of Homeland Security has confirmed the cancellation of temporary protected status, or TPS, for citizens of Honduras and Nicaragua. The termination became effective last week on September 8th. The decision impacts an estimated 72,000 Hondurans and 4,000 Nicaraguans who were covered by the program. In an announcement made in July, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem stated that conditions in Honduras and Nicaragua no longer meet the requirements for TPS. The decision was made following consultation with the State Department and other federal agencies. TPS is a temporary status granted to nationals of designated countries who are unable to return safely due to conditions like armed conflict or environmental disasters. The status for these two Central American nations was first established decades ago, following the devastation of Hurricane Mitch in 1998. With the program's expiration, the approximately 76,000 individuals affected are now required to have either secured another legal immigration status or depart the United States. Finally, turning to national security and the future of America's air power. The U.S. Air Force has announced a major milestone in the development of its next-generation stealth bomber. A second B-21 Raider has successfully completed its first flight over California. Air Force officials say the addition of a second test aircraft will significantly accelerate the program's flight test campaign. The B-21, built by Northrop Grumman, is the world's first sixth-generation aircraft and is designed to penetrate the most advanced enemy air defenses. It will be capable of carrying both conventional and nuclear weapons, forming a critical part of the U.S. nuclear triad. The Air Force plans to purchase at least 100 of the new bombers, which will eventually replace the aging B-1 and B-2 fleets. The B-21 will operate alongside modernized B-52s for decades to come. With a price tag of around $800 million per aircraft, the program has been designed with an open systems architecture which allows for easier and more affordable technological upgrades over its lifespan. This is a key feature intended to avoid the massive cost overruns and delays that plagued past programs like the F-35 fighter. The B-21 is expected to enter service in the early 2030s, providing a critical long-range strike capability, particularly in the vast distances of the Indo-Pacific.